Oh, hey, Pompous, how you doing? Sorry to interrupt.
Hello.
Hey, okay, we'll start off with you then, Pompous. We've got a question of the day. What is your most important consumable?
The one I use on pretty much every tank is the premium consumable for each nation. The coffee and tea, the pudding and tea, the baguette stuff. The good stuff.
Oh yeah, that
gets a little bit expensive, but if you're good enough to not take a little bit of shots, it's worth it almost all the time.
Absolutely. All right, good answer right there. Let's move on over to Master Pupil. Are you prepared with your answer to the question of the day?
Yeah. Second consumables, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I just have to go with the large repair kit. I'm a simple guy. Heavy tank player, large repair kit just does me wonders. I make a lot of mistakes, so being able to make up for them with that, it's nice.
A simple man with simple needs.
Yep.
Yes.
Hear you right there, Pupil. All right. So we just went over a couple big roster changes coming out for your team. Why don't you go ahead and walk us through who left and who's coming in and what you expect out of them?
All right. So yeah, Exo got kicked. We're sorry to see that. We really loved having him on the team. It's very sad that it went down the way it did. But we brought in Ledif after having Vetra join Apex. We got that news, so we asked Ledif, and he's on the team now. So we're hoping to fit him into the starting lineup and see what we can do with him, even with Exocon.
And what role is Ledif expected to play? Where do you think he fits in that role? Is he medium, a heavy, light tank? What are you thinking?
See, he said it himself. He's not really like a designated class player. Like he feels like he can play most classes like decently. So we're going to try and see like if that's true and try and fit him into different roles. I mean, he's got a lot of map knowledge, so it's really good. Like whatever position he plays.
All right, thanks, Master People. Pompous, we'll jump right over to you. I want to ask you about the Action X, because this is something we've been chatting about on Twitter and all of that. I know, but talk to me about the Action X, all right? Why is it good?
The reason why we brought it on steps was because we knew they brought Artie, and the E5 was too slow, the Crown Vong is too slow, and we needed a tank with good view range and that had good reverse speed so it wouldn't get, destroyed by artillery. So the Action X was a good choice for that. I was going to bring a Leopard 1, but Rude said no, so I brought Action X instead.
What do you think the ammo choices are actually something that makes it a good choice of a tank?
Yeah, actually, when the rival pushed up the right up the middle of the batch, I actually did about 1,000 damage with 2 shots with Hesh. So yeah, it really did pay off a little bit in that game.
All right, thanks for the insight a lot, Pompous. Actually, thank you guys both for joining us on the Face Off. Any final words before we let you go?
No, and if you guys are worrying about Delth, he's fine. He's just he's had a disease for a lot of his like younger life, so he's got to do checkups every once in a while, and so he's got to go to the hospital. He'll be here later tonight. He might actually play, but we'll see.
All right, thanks for the tip.
All right, Pupil, any final words?
Good luck and have fun, my dude.
All right, thank you guys so much. We will see you on the battlefield. All right. I'm glad we got that insight. That was what I wanted from Pompous, because to give a little backstory, Rockstar, myself, and Pompous on Twitter just started going off a little bit about the Action X because we saw it the other day. And the thing is, I love medium tanks, so any medium tank on the battlefield is automatically a good choice for me. For you can be a little skeptical, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Pompous was firm on the fact that he liked the Action X.
No, by all means. He has some solid points. The artillery, knowing they bring artillery, not wanting to be in a slow heavy tank. I get it. But you also have to look at how the tank handles in the position, and my main beef was you're playing a hull down, we're going to be shooting at tanks from a long distance, and that Centurion Action X turret is not the most reliable. So in those sort of situations, and he did work, by all means, not discrediting that. But I want to see it used more often and see, if those weak spots the Centurion Action X brings can be exploited a little bit more often.
Yeah, it's like with the Bat Chat. It's one of those things where the armor at face value looks like it shouldn't really work, but then you get those bounces, right?
Yeah, the bounce chat, yeah.
And what he mentioned a few points which are really important to look at when you're watching some of those lesser commonly used tanks, like the Action X. Mm-hmm. The Action X can bring APCR, heat, or Hesh, and all 3 are viable rounds. And he mentioned that he used 2 of them on the assault. So if you're up against Bat Chats, you can load Hesh.
Yep, at distance, the APCR shell's typically better, but then when you're playing against, say, German heavy tanks or other heavy tanks, you want those heat shells because they show through armor better.
Also, heat doesn't matter what range heat shells work at because it's a shaped charge.
Maintains the same penetration value.
Yeah, because the thing is, the way a heat shell actually works is it makes contact, and then it kind of sets off the charge, and then it shoots like, a superheated jet of copper. if I'm right, just straight then burns through the armor.
Right. Well, we'll have to see if top tier can fire those copper shells through the tanks of Eclipse as we're getting ready for our first battle right now.
Town. The first absolutely symmetrical map, made especially for 7 versus 7 games. The teams start the battle on opposite sides. There are numerous ways to attack here. One of the bases is located in the central square, the other one at the top of the city. The hardest battles are usually fought for the top base, and this calls for the use of heavy tanks. Sometimes the teams choose fast tanks for spotting and base capturing.
All right, Rockstar, we're here for battle number 1. Let's take a look at these tanks.
Top tier, 250Bs, an E100, an IS-7, a T-57, a Batchet, and a UDIS. Eclipse, 250Bs, one of them driven by Ledif, 2 IS-7s, a Kronwagen, a Batchet, and an RU-251.
All right, so with those 250Bs on either side, makes sense. It's just a normal choice for this map. E100 versus IS-7s. How do you think that's going to stack up? I expect those to be meeting each other in the middle.
Well, the T-57 has, like we were just talking about, has those heat shells. So when they go up against those E100s, the flat armor, they should pretty much go right through, even if they're slightly angled. Where the APCR shells typically out of 50B might struggle a little bit more.
Oh, look at this. Rude Awakening's going for his jump, and at the same time, on the other side, Dark God Zim just about running himself into Mariel on an opening scout run. We'll jump right back over to that UDES on the far side of the map, though. And if you look at it, opening set from Eclipse is not too aggressive, and I see Blind Fire coming out towards Rude Awakening's old position as he's going to shift out. And this is going to be a very standard defense from top tier.
Eclipse just, once again, looking for those early rotations. Some teams tried to go with just a blind rotation through the 2-3, get in aggressive in the south, and box teams into that north 1 cap quickly. So a lot of teams have started doing this. We've seen it out of Apex, seen it out of 07, where they just set up really passive down here in the south, and they try to catch any sort of early rotation. You could call it a trap, but it's only temporary. This by no means is their final plan. That's why I don't like calling it a trap. This is not, we're going to set up like this and hope 100% of the time they drive into this. We don't have any way of knowing.
What percent of the time are you going to hope?
Yeah, well, you're going to hope for about the first 2 minutes. I don't want to put a percentage on it. You're just going to hope for the first, 2 minutes. Let's see if they make a rotation. And then around that 2-minute mark, I'd expect to see these tanks start rotating out and driving towards their plan B, whether that's to attack the 2 cap or the 1 cap. It really remains to be seen. And that's the other thing they're doing right now is they have the RU-51 in the south, the Batchet in the north. So what they can do is they can get that intel. And so while they're sitting here, they can figure out where the tanks of top tier are and then decide on a game plan which cap they want to attack and go from there.
All right, well, there's some spotting up right now. Looks like Mariel is going to be spotting against, looks like Tigers. And I think one shell did connect, so Tigers going to...
Mariel snuck one in there to Tigers, but then Mariel actually dropped his clip and started reload.
All right, and then look at this. You can see a shift moving from the north to the south. That's from our defenders' top tier. They're going to move Zitz, Ex-Soldier, Lukukurash Siega, and Aghako's already in the area. So they're getting ready for a south push from Eclipse. And as you can see from the
look at this! Look at this bait from Eclipse. They've shown 50Bs in the south. They got top tier to rotate tanks down the south, and now they're going to switch around while top tier's still down here, not knowing any of the wiser.
And we're going to go ahead and listen in on Eclipse to see just what they're up to.
Okay. 2 I7s on cap. We'll try to kill this guy.
Kronwagen and 50B, where here?
50Bs like here, yeah. Protect them.
All right, understood.
They destroyed all the things on cap, so it's gonna be rough.
I know.
We need to get back then, because we're just gonna reset us.
I know, but he need to reset like a lot of times. These guys you need to protect here. If they'll push you can go back and this I7's help.
Do you want to put the ramp?
Do it fast.
I think if they don't have anything,
who do we want on ramp?
push across and spot the UDIS.
Hello? Do you want
Who do we want on ramp?
Yeah, what's up?
You're
You
on
wanna
ramp,
play
Jack.
the ramp, you
Jack,
need
I'm
to play
going to the cap.
Okay.
Oh, where's the bottom part
we
of
both
this?
have to go cap, actually. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, both.
I'll play the back part of this ramp.
Lol, he's shot.
Well, you can't make the crossing if the I7's there.
Okay.
Are we watching for him? He's going to let you take
Let
it if you pull out any further.
Let's poke at the
Me
same
and
well,
Fodor are
as soon as
going.
the I7's going to cap, we'll poke at the same time on him, okay?
Okay.
We don't need to do that. If they have an IS-7 here and a Batchet over here, our tanks can just go here. We'll kill the UDIS and then set up
no,
our
I don't
else
then.
coming
We
in.
have way too
Do
much.
we want to? Do we want to get on cap or do that?
We're both on cap.
Okay.
Tigers, are we doing this peak or no?
I guess not.
No peek on the I-7?
No,
We're still
guys,
capping, though.
stay here. Let me go third on cap.
The Udis is shooting.
I guess Nonik is lighting. I don't need to hide down.
All right, and that looks like the strategy is fairly straightforward, actually. Going to be little cap pressure.
A little bit of indecision there coming off from the teams.
And how's this response going, do you think is going to pan out as an overmatch from top tier? Looks like it's about to descend on the
Well, the 50Bs are in an ambush position to where if they commit to go kill T1 Diabetic, which it looks like Pompous is going to do, both these 50Bs can roll out and get shots, and this is where the 50Bs are going to come in right now. They're going to roll in there, and they're going to be able to catch out these tanks while they trade. This is exactly what eClipse we're hoping for, and they're going to start pumping out a lot of damage onto top tier. Pompous taking a majority of the damage, and he gets completely evaporated. Akako also taking a lot of damage, as is the 50B of X-Soldier. Good trades coming out from eClipse, but they've already lost the Kronwagen, the RU, and they've taken a lot of damage amongst their tanks, going back and forth, and top tier are actually the ones ahead on this right now.
And eClipse looks like they might be able to bring back with some momentum. Their autoloaders haven't expended all of their ammo yet, so there's still a chance for them to make something happen, but it looks like that's going to just evaporate right then and there. And let's take a look at the hit points. Rocks, 6K and a little change for eClipse. Top tier is about 1,000 ahead. So yeah, top tier should be able to take this momentum and carry it through. But just, they have to be careful. They can't get too aggressive. They can't get too crazy.
Yep, and actually one of the I-7s has left cap. Photo Finish has gone back, but the UDES is pegging away at him. Hits him for 432, and he's now in a really awkward position. He does get the penetration onto La Cruceciga in the background there. La Cucaracha Ciega.
It's a tricky name.
I say it, Hayne. That Fixer Reloaded, just change your name.
Look at it. Nonix found Muriel, and Muriel's got the high ground on this, but he's not ahead in damage, and he's going to go by 754 hit points.
Yep, but now Tigers and that 50B is going to come rolling in, should be able to clean him up, and Ledef is going to come in here and try to help out Drock. Well, actually, they're going to box in Merle into this cap, where he can't get out of there.
Yeah, and it looks like, I'm saying Eclipse has got a stronger response in this one.
They're going to get this bat chat down, and then they can carry the momentum onto these 250Bs and E100, which are basically all that's left for Eclipse.
Yeah, and with that should be Eclipse coming back after let's say a more decisive action.
50B of X-Soldier down to 284. E100 is going to push in here, takes one for 441, bounces off the front of the E100, the front of the IS-7, doesn't get the connection there, and he's taking a lot of damage. He's down to 343, and that's going to be an E100 down as Tigers comes around with one shell left in his mag. He needs to make sure this one counts. Doesn't even stop, takes the kill, and now it's down to Exits, and Rude Awakening, and Eclipse managing to pull this one out.
Oh, and Exits barely missed the shell that could have kind of evened this one up for him and given him a better chance in it. As like he goes for what he can, but another missed connection onto No-Nick, no skill. That's not good there.
That's going to be No-Nick going down, getting a little bit too aggressive.
And Exits is going to just drop right into the courtyard, that we like to call it, where he can try to reload. Rude Awakening is going to cover him in the UDEath.
But now these 50Bs are going to back up. They're going to get an angle, safe on cap. And all Drock has to do is sit here and proc light Exits. If he tries to leave, Drock can easily take him down for one shot. Also, look over at cap. You can't see it on the shot right now, but Photo Finish is pushing the Batchat Corpse. So it's in the way, or the RU Corp, in the way of the UDIS from getting those resets. So now they have double cap pressure going, and Photo also has a clean shot onto that Exits if Exits tries to poke right there.
Oh, yeah. Great hold down position for an IS-7. Already a tank that doesn't necessarily need the hull down, but, I mean, you give it to him, and, well.
Well, now I just don't see much that UDIS can do unless he has some HE shells loaded.
He might. It's possible.
And Exits is going to come around, trying to bait Drock.
And there's the HE.
But it
95.
doesn't matter. The 250Bs are tucked in on the cap in the north. Now, Drock misses. Now, Exits can clean this up, but Photo Finish from the cap has that perfect crossfire setup, helps out his teammate. And now there's only 17 seconds left on the second base in the south, and this is going to be Eclipse pulling this one out of the fire.
Oh, yeah. And that's on attack, by the way. So something that usually you don't expect. Defenders kind of do a little bit better than that often on the
Now, something I will say is maybe Eclipse and Tigers pulling something from Wallhax's book here. Tigers got to play alongside Wally for a little bit, maybe picked up some stuff, because that was a very fluid strat, very clear rotations, especially once the engagement started. Something that Tigers has kind of struggled with a little bit in the past. He's very set play oriented. Now, provided he's one of the best at it we have on the server, but where he struggled is in that very fluid open play.
Yeah,
and that's
needing to improvise in the moment.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that Wallhax has always been exceptionally good at. And so, seeing that come out of eClipse here definitely gives me a little bit of hope that they can still challenge Apex.
Yeah, and from top tier, I had to admit that I liked a lot of their play as well. I think there's merit for both sides, but that eClipse just played this a little stronger. So top tier showing up today and really, and in battle number 1, showing us that maybe this isn't something that we can really gloss over at all, because eClipse is a good team, but top tier is often underestimated.
Look at all these fantasy points coming out here. Photo finished 91 points on 3K and 1 damage. Or in 1 kill, but then Tigers also getting the cap pressure. Ledif also getting cap, both above 90, so a strong start in the first game.
Well, I mean, with kills and cap, you almost kill every tank, and then you cap too. That's an amazing way to start off a battle, right?
And another thing to look at here, which really didn't help top tier, was Fixer Reloaded's play in that E100. He missed that point-blank shot onto the IS-7, and if that IS-7 had gone down, that means that E100 probably doesn't take anywhere near as much damage as he did. He's alive. He gets another shot or two off, and all of a sudden that's a battle tipped in favor of top tier instead. So you can never write out, the mistakes of one person can affect the whole team.
Yeah, it's those little tiny details that change the entire course of a battle. But there's no way of really knowing is the one thing I always get hung up on is I want to say that it could have changed around on that, but do we really know? We'll have to see.
It's never, now don't get me wrong, it's never one person that's the sole reason, the sole deciding factor of why a team lost. But in that case, it certainly didn't help.
Yeah. I guess I was trying to just throw in there doubt.
Right.
Yeah, because the alternate realities that exist.
Yeah, I don't want to paint it like it was just Fixer Reloaded's mistake. And we'll get back to that later, because we're ready for our second battle. Top tier coming in with 250Bs, an IS-4, 2 bad chats, a T10, and a WZ-111. eClipse, a 113, 350Bs, an E100, a Batchat, and Dark God Zim bringing the Udis. Udis has pretty much become a staple. We saw a few teams get away from it, but it looks like eClipse and top tier both opting for it while on defense.
The damage is there, right? The camo is there, the profile is there.
And it's fast enough to do the climb.
Yep, it's mobile enough.
Yep. Well, the only thing I don't like about it is it's very one-dimensional in the sense that it can basically just play that one spot on this map, and other than that, it's, I don't want to say worthless, but it's worthless.
That's what it's there for. It's there to play that one single role. And thanks, Shannon Freer, for shouting out to us about Repair Kit right there, answering our question of the day. You can tweet at us at WGLNA, hashtag WGLNA, answer our question of the day, and you might be featured here on the broadcast. Now, Rockstar, looking at this opening move, we got a nice southwest push from top tier. Nothing too aggressive, but the WZ-111 is going to be heading off west with an IS-4 backing him up. So a strong position to play on the southwest of the 2-cat. Usually only one tank is going to play this position, right?
Yeah, and now something to look at here, a segue from what you were just talking about for a second. Look at how eClipse have set up. Have you noticed how they're not as committed to that one, or to the 2-3 line like top tier were last round, right? So what they're set up to do is, well, actually, they're not even going to do what I figured they were going to do. It looks like they're just going to make a hard 2-3 line push.
Yep, and it's just going to be right down and around, possibly come in from the southwest. You've got a bat chat moving in for spotting. And with that, actually, no, it's going to be a little bit more aggressive maybe even. And that E100 is going to be what we call the anchor, where he'll just hold a position and hopefully everyone will just flex around as needed. Ideally, what will happen is your opponent's going to try and push either onto the cap, maybe try and aggress in any number of directions. But where I'm worried is if we see an attack from the north, that's about the weakest point. But even then, it's quite easy for all of the members, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rox, but a few of these positions to simply flex to be firing into the north and put a crossfire on the courtyard that would be probably trying to get rid of our...
In simplest form, I agree. However, a team like top tier is not going to go for a one-dimensional push like that. They're going to open up multiple angles, and so they may find that lane of fire onto that E100. What will happen is other guns will be looking at shots of those 50Bs, which they aren't safe from anymore while they're trying to cover their E100. And that's something that top tier are definitely going to take into account here as they set up and try to figure out exactly where these guns are. Now, they don't know that the 50Bs are out on the one line at this point. They don't know where they are. They haven't had any solid intel. And so now it's going to be top tier. It's going to push in, and this could be disastrous.
Could be, but Hako's the only one spotted. Those 50Bs you mentioned didn't get spotted. So there's a chance that they may be able to get into position without too many problems. But if they leave T1 diabetic in the backfield, do you think they can afford to do that? Because it seems costly.
Well, playing that bat shot, you have to remember he has the speed. He can quickly get into the fight, and this map is not a large map. You can very quickly be from the outside to the inside in a matter of 10 or 15 seconds if you need to be, depending on how well you've read the map and if you're caught flat-footed or whatnot.
Yeah. And I think the appropriate counterplay usually is to send one of your own bat chats to take down T1 after he fires a few shots.
Or a pair of 50Bs or some light tanks. We've seen a lot of different stuff done in the past. And a lot of shots going off towards T1 Diabetic, but the problem he has to worry about is there's 50B along with the bat shot that could come after him. And at this point, it's been almost 4 minutes and top tier still don't have any cap pressure. Now, they're set up a lot more deliberately for a 2-cap than we saw Eclipse. Eclipse set up in the south, more hoping to catch a rotation out. They hadn't moved to that phase where they were going to start the cap pressure. This looks like a much more deliberate attempt to set up for that 2-cap, controlling those lanes. There are basically 4 different approaches you have to worry about to get that 2-cap or into that 2-cap. To successfully attack it, you have to control 3 of them. You have to be able to shut down 3 of them and use either the crane or the corners of the building to block against the 4th. There's no way that you can use all your guns to cover all 4. You have to, at the most, you can pick 3, and if you have it really thought out, you can get away with only having guns on 2 of them and not having enough to sustain that cap pressure.
Exactly. I've seen people go through what you could call I'll say an exercise in getting out of a surrounded position. And when you're on that cap, there's 4 ways in. There's also 4 ways out. And it works. And if you play it right, it can also work both ways. We've seen it once or twice where a team will bait the cap. You'll see members from the enemy team try and defend cap and approach it on numerous sides. And then they don't realize that when they've done that, they've actually separated themselves quite a bit. And then you can set in a hit squad to deal with one flank or the other.
Yep, once you find the isolations. And that's what I was saying about, at most you want 3, because once you go to 4, there's just too many isolations. Your guns can't all cover each other. Now, 3 is still stretching it. It's not by any means perfect. But it's doable if the crossfires are perfect, if everyone makes their shots count, and the rotations are quick. Now, that's why I said 2 is perfect. 2 keeps your guns together. You can quickly cover each other, and you should still be able to maintain cap pressure. However, there's really no way to do it while only controlling 1. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's possible.
Yeah. And a really thin shot from Pompous connects onto T1 Diabetic, and that's going to prompt both bat chats from top tier to begin kind of eking their way forward, trying to move in on the position of T1. I'm expecting top tier is about to attack, and once they do, what they're going to be going for is trying to pressure that bat chat out, and at the same time their heavy tanks, which have already just started the engagement, are going to try and keep these 50B's attention. And as we can see, Tigers has already lost most of his hit points, Ledev taking a few hits as well in this opening engagement, all for the heavy tanks, WZs and T10s.
The E100's coming in here, and he's going to cut off these 50Bs from keeping the pressure up, which is perfect for Eclipse.
And there we go, shots fired, and the chase is on, was the bat chats are going to try and stop T1 Diabetic from getting away. He is running really fast, though, and he's managed to avoid quite a bit of damage. He's not even quite dead yet.
And the 50Bs are going to be coming off reload soon, at least Ledev and Tigers will be. T1 Diabetic has already gone down, though. And now Photo Finish is going to push in here, take out Rude Awakening. Fixer Reloaded is going to snap a shot off into Photo Finish, but they're going to keep the pressure on. They know that this 50B is probably on reload or just off of it, and they're going to find out that he's off reload. Photo Finish is going to take down Fixer Reloaded, however. Exits picks up Tigers. Back and forth stuff. Photo Finish just keeping the pressure up onto X-Soldier, and this is going well for Eclipse, but they're not out of the woods yet.
Not quite yet. The damage needs to be there, and everyone from Eclipse is still grouped up. That's the important thing to note about this fight. And that means tankers like Exits are going to have a rough time trying to get the damage out that they need because they don't have anyone around to protect them, really. And there we go. Exits getting a nice kill onto Nonik, and he's going to try and stop draw before he can do that. Oh, and a jump from Exits. That's dangerous.
He knows he has to get out of there.
But it looks like Muril's going to come in on reload and should be able to deal with Drock.
Drock just looking for
one more shell.
He needs a bounce here to get a shot off. He doesn't get it, and that's going to be a 2v3. And now all of a sudden, this isn't looking good for Eclipse because it's just Photo Finish and only Dark God Zim in the UDES in position to cover.
Yeah, and there's Exits finding great shots into Photo Finish. Bounces one, but no, it's a track shot, and that's going to actually enable him to possibly finish Photo off.
And that's going to be top tier taking this map. Should be here in just a second and tying it up 1-1 because I don't see the UDES pulling this one off.
Probably not. UDESs rarely are able to do that, but health pool-wise, 2,281 hit points.
Now note that being a tier 8 versus 3 heavy tanks did not stop Chase Potato in that Dare match-off broadcast a month ago, but it's still highly unlikely.
And now it's just wait a moment or two, and it should be all over.
Cap pressure coming out from top tier.
Dark God Zim's going to try and be a hero. And with 2 minutes left, the only way to clutch this is to somehow delay Cap enough. But chances are that's not happening, understandably, right? There it goes. All right, there it goes. Top tier is going to take one. Tying this one up 1-1. We discussed this a little bit before the match, actually. We talked about how top tier might have a chance on attack.
Yeah, and eClipse, I like the opening play there.
Excuse me, I misspoke. I believe I should have said on defense.
Right. And I like the opening play from eClipse. I really do. They had those 50Bs pushed around. Now, the trades didn't necessarily go in their favor, but the second part of that play I really like, where they had the 100 and 113 come in position to cut off those 50Bs. The thing with that play was, well, the trades didn't go that great for eClipse early on. They managed to successfully disengage from that brawl and back off and get into their second clips. And that's typically the time where the other team, in this case top tier, would keep the pressure on. They'd chase down those 50Bs while they're reloading. And that E100 and 113 coming in at that perfect time stopped them from chasing.
And also, I think it's worthy to note the use of the heavy tanks in this arrangement. You saw a T10, a WZ-111, used appropriately as damage sponges. They stuck themselves out in front just enough to take damage, not enough to quite go down, but to keep the 50Bs that were still alive from taking too much of the focus fire.
Just raw. Essentially, they were just raw meat for the bear of eClipse to eat, essentially.
To snack on, yeah.
Yeah, to snack on. And then once they're full, then the rest of the guns can come in there and clean up the tanks of eClipse.
And looking at the post-battle stats, that's exits in the 50B. Played phenomenally that battle. All the way to the end, he was solid the entire time. And also Ledif and Dark God Zim, even though eClipse goes down, they were able to put up good damage.
Yeah, photo finish, getting caught out there at the end, missed the kill shot onto Merles. Still able to do 1,400 damage in 3 shots. Would have liked to see a little bit more out of him. And then Drock, really only able to get 2 shots in there. But that's not necessarily the downfall of the E100. Just the raw scare factor of that giant gun on the E100 and the positions that he took, I think, should have been enough for eClipse to win. But just the secondary trades, T1 Diabetic going in, it just didn't leave a whole lot for them to work with. And then they missed a lot of shots towards the end there on the top tier.
Yeah, from the perspective that I was watching it from, which is very much more top tier sided, was kind of the way I saw it. It looked like they knew exactly how they wanted to engage. They set up for it, and then they executed.
Yep, we'll have to see. Sorry to cut you off, but we'll have to see how well eClipse can execute the first battle on our next map.
Muravanka, a map with a great number of buildings, bushes and trees, amongst which teams hide for most of the battle. The attacking team begins the battle from the top of the village, and the defenders start from the bottom of the map. Both bases are better controlled from the hill near the first base, and from the green in the lower left corner of the map. There are many attack directions. The attacking team often attempts to gain the attention of defenders by putting pressure on the first base, whilst manoeuvring several tanks behind the second base to deliver fire into the defending's flank. Team setups are very diverse, but the players often choose the fastest tanks, even for heavy setups. They could even bring SPGs.
And here we go on to battle number 3. 2 Kronwagens, 3 Batjets, a TVP, and an M4043 coming out for top tier. eClipse, a Kronwagen, 5 Batjets, and an AMX 1390.
Now, Rude's going to bring that already in attack, something we've seen rather commonly, I'd say, recently, especially
with the introduction of the Swedish tanks, the hold-down monsters that they are. That artillery definitely helps teams soften them up and make a push viable.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, there's no way you're going to grind out against a Kronwagen. Even Kronwagen versus Kronwagen is just not. It's not that great.
An opening shot on the No-Nick. I think that was from the TVP.
Yeah, it was from exits.
Yeah.
Exit specific.
Was already reloading.
Yep.
And here comes the second play from top tier. They're just going to push on to cap.
And that's going to be what we call cap fast. And at the same time, I like the call. This is eClipse kind of knowing what's up. They're in position to stop the cap, and you can see beads already onto those tanks. Akako taking one in the turret. And that's going to prompt a press from eClipse. They're going to be moving in from the west side, the south side. And it's going to be up to top tier whether or not they can pump out more damage than they're about to take.
Yep, and now Akako's going to push around. He knows that he's going to get some free damage onto these Batchats because they do not have a lot of armor. However, X-Soldier does go down for top tier. And this is not looking good for him right now. As look at all this damage going on to him. Fixer Reloaded getting lit up. An ammo rack on for Akako, and this is almost over before it started.
Yeah, and this is what we see a lot of teams hesitate with early on when they put cap pressure on. but it looks like Top Tier took a risk, hoped that eClipse wasn't already in position for a counter. Unfortunately, that risk didn't pan out for them this time. eClipse knew what was up.
Well, and the thing you have to worry about with these sort of bad chat lineups is just the raw burst that they have. You can really quickly underestimate the power of just a couple of bad chats and what harm they can do to you. And in this case, you know, a couple tanks pushed around. It was just Drock and Ledif back there, essentially, and they were able to hold off Akako, the other Kronwagen, and one of the bad chats pretty much single-handedly with only a little bit of support fire coming in from Photo Finish.
Yeah, and Mariel's going to be able to take on Photo Finish in the south. That's great for Top Tier, as it looks like there is actual damage being dealt. Dark God Zim has been taken low as Pompous is chasing him, and Akako is reloaded just in time to keep doing any work at all, while T1 Diabetic comes in.
And this isn't over, because look at this. There's a lot of trades going back and forth. Now, exits will go down to Tigers.
On fire.
On fire. And now remember, there is an artillery still alive for Top Tier, so not only are they down by about 1,000 HP, but that's an artillery, which you can't
looks like
necessarily count
Tigers
on.
doesn't care. He's just rushing Pompous, understands that probably doesn't have enough damage loaded to deal with him. And there we go, Ledif. Nice teamwork from Tigers and Ledif.
Now, Merle's one of the top fantasy point scorer. It's the last one left alive, or second to last one left alive for Top Tier right now. And he's just trying to get away, open up the rest of the map, appear somewhere else than down there in that bottom corner.
Yep, and Rude Awakening is hoping that he can get his reload in before he's found, as he is hiding in literally the farthest northeast-west position that he could possibly hide on the map.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to stop Dark God Zim from finding him.
Actually, Dark God Zim doesn't spot him. Now
there he goes.
There he goes. Just in time. 6 seconds left, not enough time, and he's going to go down.
And now, the HP is not. This isn't impossible.
This is tricky though. Muriel's got to play it smart. He can't get spotted, not in the open.
And he can do this with one clip if he makes the shots count. The thing is, he just can't take any shots in return. 364. He would have to have a low roll from a bad shot to stay alive.
He could take one shell from Dark God Zim.
The 1390, but
yeah,
looking at the other two bad chats alive, if they even roll average, or even if they low a little bit roll,
a little low, yeah. I see where you're going. Yeah.
Roll a little low. You know, he's done. So he has to just be real careful with the angles he peeks and not take any damage at all.
What he's going to do is he's going to be trying to find places where he can get one shot off and leave, right? Because that's what you hunt for. You look
the tricky thing is he doesn't know where any of the guns for.
Oh, he doesn't know where Dark God is.
And remember, Muriel is attacking right now, so he has to find these guns or get the cap pressure. So, hoping to get a shot off, he looks for it. He fires one off, misses. Now he has to make everything count, or he can't do this with one clip.
He can't stay here. That's the problem. He can't. He's been spotted. He knows he's got to leave. He's now fighting against the urge to stay and fight, which is, I could admit, it's tricky to deal with right now because the decisions to clutch this are oh my god, that is complicated to think about what he's got to accomplish to get a clutch.
Well, and a certain amount of luck is going to be involved here. He has to come across these 1v1s at the right time, and that's how he'll win this, is getting a series of 1v1s. And that would essentially be Eclipse's mistake, a lot less to do with Merle's play.
Absolutely. Now, what he doesn't know is where the other two members of the enemy team are. Because that's the tricky. It's like, all right, I've seen T1 now, but I saw him leave, right? And you can see T1 right now is sneaking around the other side. Muriel doesn't realize where he is. And he's just about to find his target, just in time to not get the shot that he wanted. And Muriel's just going to move on up.
And he misses. He's going to go for the ram. He gets the ram kill, but he's not able to pick that up. If he had gotten that shot on the T1,
that would have been the most amazing thing in all of tanks.
That would have been insane. He came close
cool.
there. He didn't die to that ram from the 1390. He just barely missed that shot onto T1 Diabetic.
And if he'd made that shot, that could have been a clutch. Okay, but we'll move past that. That one's a solid win for Eclipse. They played it smart, and Top Tier they were not ready to deal with the response from Eclipse. I think Eclipse just knew what was happening, too.
And they had a good rotation. They had that clear understanding. And once again, this comes down to that secondary play that Eclipse has struggled with in the past that we were talking about. It's always been one of Tiger's downfalls as a caller, has been the secondary play, the off the cuff of the wrist type strats.
Yeah.
And that's what this came down to. And this time it worked out for Eclipse.
Yeah, I got to give it to the teamwork was solid. I liked the orientation of the three remaining tankers. So Dark God Zim passive in a bush to the west. T1 the most healthy tank in the middle, actually, as the anchor. And then what you do is you send Tigers off to the east.
Yep, and look at this. He gets the ram, but the ram actually throws off his shot onto T1 Diabetic. He fired it in time, but because of the ram with the 1390, right when he fired, it just managed to throw his shot off just a little bit.
I know, you just hope for it. Anyway, post-battle stats. Look at this. You've got 3k damage from Pompous, of course, right? That's Pompous. Tigers, always a top player, and the caller, we've always noted.
Yep, and he's always been one of those picks that does work in fantasy because he's one of those callers that plays tier 10s every game, and he's a good enough player. He puts up a lot of points. Now, Wallhacks, he tends to play a lot of the tier 8s a little bit more, and he tends to play the riskier positions. Now, we've seen Tigers do that in tier 10s occasionally, but there's a little bit more risk-reward when you're up in a 10 as opposed to the 8. That's why you do the 8 normally, is because the risk-reward is a lot higher towards the reward than
more
the risk.
Forgiving.
Yeah, it's more forgiving. You lose a tier 8, big deal. With the tier 10, it can pay off in spades because you can get yourself into positions to do a lot of damage. But if you get caught out, that's a tier 10 down and off the field. So, that's kind of the difference between the two callers.
You can't afford to be distracted.
Yep.
You just can't. You have to be focused on playing your tank to the best of your ability. All right, look at these tank picks, Rocks.
Yep. Kronwagen coming out for top tier as well as an E5, 2 batch shots, a TVP, a grill, and a 1390. Eclipse, an I7, a Kronwagen, 3 batch shots, a grill, and a Udis. And one other thing I want to say real quick is that by no means is a knock onto Wallhacks. So, people out there kind of get a little bit mad sometimes. So I'm just saying, this has nothing to do with Wallhacks personally. It's just the difference in style between the teams.
All right, so let's look now as both teams are loading in the opening runs. We've got 2 grills on either side, which is, I'm not saying rare, but I don't remember seeing this all the time. We don't often see, choo-choo train. Never mind. I don't care what I was going to talk about. This is how you get tanks to the battlefield faster. I love it when someone pushes me when I'm in a slower tank, and you're just trying to make good time off to the east side. It's worth it.
And that's one of the downfalls of the Kronwagen. It's the slowest of the tier 10 heavy autoloaders, so any little boost that I can get is helpful.
Absolutely. And it'll make the difference of 4 or 5 seconds in the end. And that could be the difference between getting a shot on a target, maybe taking the position first, or getting caught out in the open and taking damage yourself. So you have to pay attention to those timings and what they mean. So we're going to see the opening moves right now from top tier. They're going to be going for normal west side.
This position from Rude. Look at this bush he's in. He's sitting here. Super aggressive. One of the bushes we don't see a whole lot. Now it's far enough away from the red line that he probably won't get spotted by a tank down there.
But that's a dangerous spot.
It's extremely dangerous, but this comes down to that whole risk-reward thing we were talking about. This is high risk, high reward.
We'll see if it works out. I see blind fire coming in. And you know what, Rocks? While Eclipse tries to deal with this, let's take a listen in with them to see what they have to say.
Then it takes something like this.
Just go.
Go ahead, Julian.
No, we're gonna figure it out. I know you can, if you just kind of like play this, you can light anything in here.
Yeah, we're good.
I was optical.
Just
everyone. Are you getting lit at all?
We know they like to keep stuff on the Kalon Ridge, and then Photo moves up and he'll bully that. After Photo bullies, we'll be in good control of everything. Then we'll just set up to get the Udis on cap. We just gotta clear. Photo, I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna see if I can get some lights with you.
Let it fund a reclip. I don't think I hit anything. Maybe, but I saw sparks on most shots.
See if you guys are getting lit from different places. You can poke out a little more aggressively, take a shot and see if you're getting lit from a certain bush.
When you're lit, when you're loaded, I'm just gonna go to where I usually sit, like here.
I did get lit making a scout run and shooting here. They do have something in the bushes here. They have something in the bushes certainly.
Close. Does that mean I want to make my run towards this building?
It's in the bush. It's in the bush across the yeah, because I just got lit.
Yep. Let's try and blind fire out these northern bushes, everyone.
Okay, I'm gonna move to a better position in for that.
I want bonfire.
Yeah, he's like tight on this corner. Tight on this corner.
Okay, I'll try to blind fire.
He's behind, like in the bushes near the house.
This one?
He might, this one right here.
Lady for Nonic need to
go
and check. I'll spot 55.
Alright, okay. I can move after I reclip, but I've just blind fired a bunch.
Your shots are going through the bushes.
Yeah, we're fine.
I'm not lit from there. Okay, let me check here.
You're gonna be lit, Zin. I'm telling you, you're gonna be lit. I got lit doing a scout run. You should be real careful.
I'm gonna go north.
Remember,
and
there's
wrap
a
around
second gap, man.
Alright, my expectation then is that I push hard to.
After peeking, I think
the E5's almost dead.
He's at 476. We got a good shot of him.
Good shot.
Guys, Can one batch at
I'm
you
clipping,
to
so.
the building? Because I think
You want to know what that conversation reminds me of, Randall?
What?
Battleship.
Why?
They're trying to figure out which bush they're in. They're just randomly guessing, just lobbing shells out there, hoping they connect with something. That's really what it comes down to at this point.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to clear bushes. So they're doing it. It's just they're not being successful at it right now, and that's part of the problem of clearing this south cap on Murrow.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams don't feel like it's as worth it as putting your hard work towards other aspects of training and preparation, but there are a few teams out there I've heard before that have understood how to clear the bushes well, and you could do it systematically. It's just very tricky, right?
Yeah,
to spend the time to figure out all the bush angles that and positions you
well,
need
and once
to get
again, that's why this is a high risk, high reward. This is not a common spot that we see out of these tanks. It looks like Tigers is actually going to make a unorthodox. Tigers is going to find it. He's fed up with this. He's like, I'm going to find you. I know you're over here somewhere.
And
I don't care if I go. And he gets tracked in the open. He does find Rude. They do take him down, but this may cost him a tier 10.
Maybe just
the track shot on the Tigers.
But it might just be worth it. They've dealt plenty of damage onto the Cucaracha Ciega at the same time. So if Tigers gets away, even just barely alive, then this is still a victory for eClipse.
Oh,
right?
How did that pay off?
It did. Absolutely did. At this range, it's hard to make a hit, and also you have to respect the fact that Eclipse's guns are not simply like just sitting around waiting to see if he's going to make it, right? They're returning fire. They're keeping the heads down of tanks on top tier side. And so those guys from top tier have to be careful.
Now, I do like that out of Eclipse because they went, look, guys, we've burned almost 5 minutes trying to find this tank. We have to do something. We might as well risk a tier 10 to make sure that's done, because if we don't get it now, our game plan's done anyways. They don't have time to rotate around. So they're like, Tigers is like, all right, man mode, I'm going to go find it. I may go down. I may take a lot of damage. But somehow the Jukes, he gets in there. They take him down. All the guns were ready, and Tigers managed to live somehow. Great play from Eclipse. Now let's see if they can make this work, because now they have to burn the clock. And it looks like the rotate's actually going to be out of top tier to go through the north, and it looks like No Nick No Skill is going to find out pretty quickly, and he's going to get caught out. 1,100 damage. He's out in the open. 1,400. He's trying to get back into the ridge line.
Oh, an X-Soldier is in the north. He might be able to save one shot, and he does. And he's going to take down No Nick. All right.
Now, Eclipse still up on HP, but the positional advantage still has to go to Eclipse at this point.
Yep, and Zitz exits is pinned. He's not going to be able to help out much in this fight. He can't even afford to take one more shell. Positions from Eclipse tell me that, well, yep, okay, there we go. He's done. Now, up in the north, look, it's X-Soldier with 2 shells and a dream. He's going to head in.
Dark God Zim is lit. Sorry to cut you off. He's lit on cap, and it looks like Fixer Reloaded is trying to find the reset. He does. He connects with that E5. And he's going to back off, or Dark God Zim's going to back off anyways, but not before taking another shot from Meryl Scarata. Going to back up into the low ground. Now, Photo Finish is pumping out a lot of shots towards that E5, and Eclipse are still up on HP. The problem is X-Soldier's just kind of taunting them. He's away up in the 0 line. He's pulling tanks away from the fight, and there's only 3 minutes left for Eclipse to close this out.
Yep, and that's a solid play by top tier. They're just trying to bait that grill away, and it looks like they are going to be able to actually get T1 to start the chase. T1's going to lose a few seconds of defense or potential cap time, which could have been spent, I guess, maybe pushing the south or doing anything else.
What basically has to happen right now is Eclipse don't have any time to waste. They have to group up, and they have to push all the way across the north, go clear the whole border, and come back around. And they have just enough time to do it if they'd gone when they did, but they're actually going to decide that they're not going to chase, they're going to come back. They had just enough time and enough HP and enough guns alive that they could have done the complete circle. They could have gone and cleared everything.
Look at where Pompous is. Just because he's an incredibly low health grill doesn't mean he's not dangerous, right? And with the hit points that you see on a few tanks, Ledif, Dark God Zim, Tigers, T1 Diabetic, if he hits hard enough, he's hidden right now.
Yep, and it looks like top tier are going to just play the time, because look at X-Soldier up there. He's still up there on the red line. They're saying, look, we can slow this down. We can get enough resets to buy enough time, get it down to where they cannot cap, and leave X-Soldier out of the fight. Even if the rest of us die, X-Soldier's perfectly safe up there on the north, up against the red line.
Absolutely. Pompous is going to stay behind. Hako's moving forward, and that's going to be X-Soldier moving around to cover him from the north. So top tier appears to understand what they're going for. They seem to have a good idea of their goals in mind. Pompous puts a shot out into Drock for 797. That hurts, but not quite a kill yet. And Hako at the same time is almost down.
And they get the blind shot onto Tigers. And Merlin also takes down Ledif. But now the photo finish, and the I-7 is going to get on Cap. He's going to take a shot from the E5 fixed reloaded, and they're going to go for kills at this point.
2 bounces on from Drock, and he finally gets the kill on Oghako, but now he's on 57 hit points with no driver. Oh my goodness, this is really turned on its head. Where Top Tier had this in the bag a minute
and now
ago.
They're going to keep Dark God Zim on Cap. Now he's not spotted, and now photo finish is actually going to go for the screen. Now Pompous could shoot photo finish in the side here, but the key is going to be photo finish has to get the kill onto fixed reloaded right now. If he can stop him from getting close enough to light Dark God Zim, eClipse can still do this.
Yeah, but they have to do that in 30 seconds. And there goes Drock in the Kronwagen, which means Bat Chat, guess who? Ex-Soldier is going to be able to sneak on through to the other side. And because he's going to be able to spot Dark God Zim. He's going to be able to get this kill, I expect, as well.
And Top Tier are about to pull this one out of nothing, a game that they didn't have any business winning. They're now up on HP. Ex-Soldier's going to come in here. He's now spotted. Dark God Zim's going to turn around and run, try to get a shot off.
Here he goes. He's got the...
There's the reset. This game's over. This is done. T1 Diabetic, all that remains for eClipse in the forest. There's no way he can get 3 shots off with the amount of time he has left.
And that was squirrely. I think that's how I would call this entire battle. That was well played by Top Tier. You could see them flexing around, giving and taking ground as necessary.
T1 Diabetic misses on to Ex-Soldier.
And Ex-Soldier might get that final kill, and he does. Top Tier. Evening up the score.
Great play from both teams there. However, Top Tier managing to pull it out. They said, all right, we're going to kind of flex around. We're going to show some tanks. And hey, guess what? We don't need to commit. We're going to drive away right now. And it left eClipse in that kind of gray void. And that's why I was saying that eClipse needed to push around and try to go for that rotation all the way around. Well, it was going to take a lot of time. It kind of gave more control to eClipse in a way.
Yeah, and eClipse is a team that, like you said, works very well with the fixed strategies, right? You open up with one play, let your individuals do what they need to do. Where Top Tier, their play style is much more in line with kind of very improvisational, where they'll decide to react to very specific events and go with more complex or complicated
It was
reacts.
great play from Ex-Soldier. He played that just right to where he didn't go down, but he stayed alive, and he became a nuisance. They're like, hey, guys, want to come get me? Well, oh well. And so he never gave them that final kill shot. Just played it ever so perfectly. And look at the damage that Pompous did here. 4,100 damage in 1 kill, almost 70 fantasy points. However, he got outdone by Merle Sheik, the top fantasy point scorer in the league right now, able to do 80 fantasy points. And Merle Scarrata, I don't know what it is
Just
with his
call
name.
him Muriel. Just Muriel. Why do you use 2 syllables?
Because the whole name's there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But looking at the second page, Fixer Reloaded, who was pretty much key to that win for Top Tier, playing that anchor position. Only able to do 1,600 damage in 1 kill, but he got a lot of resets there, which is where all those fantasy points come from.
Absolutely. So now we're going to be moving on to the next map, Himmelsdorf. And with that, I mean, let's take a moment. I'm going to review some stats. Himmelsdorf is not good for Top Tier.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And eClipse also have a pretty positive record on it. 10 times they've played it, they've won 80% of those games. And most of those on Himmelsdorf, well, it's one
it's
loss.
An even split.
Yeah, I was about to say, both those losses come on each side.
Yep.
So,
it's all
that's
good.
4 out of 5 on each side. It's not bad.
All right, well, let's get ready for Himmelsdorf battle number 5.
Himmelsdorf, a small city map. The teams start the battle in opposite corners. Both bases are located close to each other, but in a way that you can't stay on the defensive all the time. The main attack routes pass through the hill, the alley and the railroad, but in general, the attack can be successfully executed through any part of the map. Heavy tanks and tank destroyers with powerful guns run the show here. However, a lot depends on the mobile light tanks.
And here we go into battle number 5, Top Tier on 113, 350Bs, an IS-4, an E3, and an IS-3. Meanwhile, eClipse, 250Bs, 2 IS-7s, a Batchat, a 4005 Stage 2, and an RU-251. Now, looking at the Top Tier lineup, Randall, does anything strike you as odd? Look at Pompous. Playing a 50B as opposed to a tank destroyer.
That's what he do.
He's typically almost always plays tank destroyers. The Grill, the 4005, the E3, it's typically been his thing on most of these maps. But the Grill last game, he's always been that tank destroyer player for Top Tier, and it looks like Muriel's going to edge him out for the E3, and Pompous is going to drop down and play a 50B.
Why is that? I don't understand why that would be the case, though.
Change up in strats or performances, you'd have to ask Rude Awakening. Remember, this is Rude Awakening's team. This is Rude Awakening saying, what I want goes. Now, typically, he said he has some freedom when he asks, can a player, tells the player to play a certain position, he lets them choose their tank. Like we found out from earlier from Pompous, he said, I want to bring my Leopard 1, but Rude said no.
Aw. Well, in this case, then maybe Pompous wasn't contributing enough to the team when he was in a tank destroyer early in the battle. I could see that being a problem. It's hard on defense to contribute to your team's success very early on because you're never going to be allowed to get into a proper position. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm trying to see if
a lot of blind fire going towards the hill on the open, and that's not going to connect onto anyone on eClipse's side. So it's going to be a lot of wasted fire, but no huge cost yet. And ex-soldier, actually, we're going to pay attention to a position he's playing right now. He's actually firing through the wreckage of one of the oldest, hidden, least known, most known secrets of World of Tanks, I think. And that is that on Himmelsdorf, you can fire from the 2 line and in an almost unassailable hull down into other parts of the map. Ex-Soldier is currently playing that position.
Now, the reason that position isn't that popular in pub matches and whatnot in other plays because of how the map is set up. This map allows for especially the defending team to get a lot more aggression on that 1-2 line early as opposed to a pub match. This position isn't necessarily so usable, mostly because the other team normally has opposing tanks in that 2 line and kind of doesn't let you play that position freely.
Yeah, and also note that Ex-Soldier just had to run into one of the many things that you discover about this cover, and that it's a little tricky to fire through. It's kind of tricky to figure out your real angles because some of those beams will catch a shell, and they'll really throw you off. But if you know how to play, you can shoot through this little building and find some holes to get some free damage. It's easier to fire out of this position than it is to fire in. And so we'll see if he's able to get any spotting or any damage at all.
eClipse starting to work up towards that 8 line. Dark God Zim just kind of poking around. He finds the E3 and says, nope, not going that way. Backs out, and maybe he'll duck into the courtyard and go try to proxlight that corner from D2.
Because the courtyard's absolutely a safe place, right?
Well, not typically, but look at the positions that they have right now.
That was the...
I know. I got it. But in this case, generally you're right. But in this case...
No, it's not safe. The courtyard's a bad place.
But look at the positioning of the tanks. They have control of the south. He can go put up against that bottom corner, and then if anyone tries to commit to a place where they can get shots on him, if he gets up to, say, bottom corner D3, those tanks are going to take a lot of damage. That's a trade worth taking. If they take the tier 8, as long as you're pumping out damage in the tier 10s, that's play that works.
Okay. I'll take that then. Alright, so what do you expect from eClipse here? Because eClipse has actually got to make an attack happen. There's about 6 minutes
and look at this.
seconds.
They're doing exactly what I just said. Rude's going to poke up into this corner. Or not Rude, but Dark God Zim. And they still have the IS-7, the 50B, both 50Bs, and then they're sitting in positions where they can quickly flex and punish anything rotating through the south. The thing that eClipse have to worry about right now is an over-rotation by top tier, where they commit a lot of tanks down south. They don't have the forces to respond to, say, 6 or 7 tanks in the south. Now, lucky for them, there's 2 tanks still in the north for top tier, so they only have to worry about 5 at most. And they know that Merles is here, so there's 4 rotating through the south. That's still an overmatch in favor of top tier in the south right now, based upon how these tanks are set up.
Although I doubt that's going to come into play. T1 Diabetic, though, putting out a lot of fire on the hill might be something to watch for.
Dark God Zim knows that E3 fired. He's just playing this corner perfectly, just kind of harassing them, and he's not going to peek anymore because he knows that E3 is going to be reloaded.
All right. And looks like T1's just about to get back into position to maybe throw a shell down onto that E3. Dark God's going for spotting, not able to get anything.
And they're going to find Tigers. Tigers is going to...
Oh, and there's a push. All right. Did not expect that to actually happen, but here we are. And
they're going to go after Tigers, but this may be a trap because the 50Bs are still lurking in the south.
And they're waiting. But Tigers doesn't have a proper angle to avoid fire from these tanks. And because of that, the 50Bs aren't going to be able to execute a trap quite as they would like to. And so it's going to be a matter of, well, now, actually.
Well, the bat chat of T1 Diabetic... Or no, not of No Nick No Skill is gonna. What?
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 What did I miss? Where was that?
That was over in Spawn.
No! He really did. He spun himself off. I think that's what just happened. I think he accidentally just jumped himself off and wasn't paying attention. And so he's dead.
I'm going to have to check the replay on that one because that was a tier 10 down that could have just flipped this battle over. And instead, Eclipse are now down 1,600 HP and 3 guns. That could have been the tank that came in there and cleaned this up for Eclipse, and all of a sudden is now dead.
That is crazy. All right, guys. Well, whatever happens, we'll keep going with it. But Ledif is unfortunately out of ammo against exits.
Drock's going to come in here. He's going to find X-Soldier. He's actually going to ignore X-Soldier and try to get some shots onto exits, take him down, and now he's going to have 1 shell left to put into exits. He needs to make it count. But it's a low roll at 380, and now he's going to get boxed in by the 50B of Fixer Reloaded, and that's going to be Drock going down. Now, there's still 3 tanks alive left for Eclipse, and most of them are actually down here in the south. Photo Finish is going to come in here, take out X-Soldier, and this isn't over. Isolations are actually in favor of Eclipse right now. Drock's still alive. Photo Finish is still alive.
I'm glad you brought that one up because for a moment I assumed he was just gone and dead. But now you've got 2 tanks grouped up.
4005 just deletes Rude Awakening.
I love when 4005s are on the field because those are the moments you get. You're like, all right, there's 3 tanks here. All right, there's 2 tanks here.
Photo takes a shot from that E3, but now he's going to push around, try to bait some shots. Drock is still alive. Fixer Reloaded is looking at multiple angles. And it's going to be Photo. No, Drock's going to get snapped the shot off. Now the Photo finishes around the E3, and all of a sudden Eclipse are about to win this round.
But here comes Akako in an IS-4, and he's going to be able to pick up Drock. And now he's going to be able to 1v1 against Photo Finish. Photo Finish being, by the way, one of the best heavy tankers that there is.
And he's going to bait around Akako into the gun of the 4005. A great track shot there.
And then an even better track shot, I'd say, for Akako. Keeping that IS-7 exposed.
And now he can side scrape this angle. It's going to be really hard for Photo to play, and T1 Diabetic's not going to have the angle.
No, he's not.
Tracks it. T1's trying to close. They have to keep Photo Finish alive. Now a gunner and driver gone for Photo. He had his gunner down before, but now his driver's dead as well. And now Akako is about to do this. Now remember, Akako is also one of the best heavy tank players in the league as well. So 2 of the best squaring off there.
And now you've got a 4005 versus an IS-4. Probably one of the least ideal tanks for T1 to have to fight.
And the AT shell from that IS-4 coming out into that 4005 for almost 550. He has to make this shot count. If it pens, it's over. If it bounces, nope, doesn't get it. And now it's going to be Photo Finish able to clean that up. Another AT shell going into the 4005. And what a round that was.
Absolutely phenomenal right there, ladies and gentlemen. This entire match is being, it's unexpected. I knew that Top Tier had it in them to keep this a close match, but I did not expect the kind of wins that we're seeing. You get where I'm coming from on that one? It's just like, this is really good individual play. That's a lot of what we're seeing here. We're seeing individual players showcasing their talents and really creating that edge that we don't normally see. And it is refreshing because often we see much larger group movements, but I'm noticing where individual players making 1 shell here or playing a certain position very elegantly is paying off.
The 4005 up on the hill. Speaking of 4005, T1 Diabetic, a little teaser for you guys. Almost 5,000 damage and 2 kills in that 4005 stage 2. Photo Finish also put up 3K and 2 kills in that I-7, so players, performing very well in their normal roles. Even Ledif, if it beat 2,700 damage isn't bad.
Yeah, and then I'm going to also probably Delph looks like he might be joining us now. By the way, timeout is called, and we'll take an extra moment to kind of get that player in. I think we should also raise something that needs to be addressed. The suicide by No Nick.
I was literally trying to find the button to go look at him.
There's no reason that anyone would have been watching him at that time.
Oh, he was rotating through the backfield. I knew he was about to be impactful. He was about to rotate in. But none of us, he was up on the hill just kind of lurking around, not doing anything. The second I saw him making that move to come in and complete that flank, I was like, this is going to be good. Let's go over there. And instead, before I switched cameras, I just see, all of a sudden, I see a whole bunch of stuff got him. Like, no one could get that shot onto him on that back ramp. And then all of a sudden, he just died. And it's just kind of like, so, yeah.
So physics.
We don't really talk about this a whole lot, but WattReplays.com, after tonight, a couple hours after tonight's over, go there, download the replay from that round, and you can watch exactly what happened to him in his own first-person view if you want.
Yeah, that was. It looks like Fixer's going to be going down. Delph is moving in.
So Delph back from his doctor's appointment.
Yep.
Fixer Reloaded going back to the bench. I don't have to struggle with that name anymore.
Congratulations. There you go, buddy. They do it for you. But now we're going to switch sides, all right? We're still on Himmelsdorf for one more battle, and this is the opportunity for eClipse to tie it up.
Yep. And top tier are making us eat our words right now. We were just talking about how Himmelsdorf isn't a map that favors them, and they yet pull out the win while defending.
Historically, it hasn't been favorable for them. That's the thing about it. And in this case, well, they managed to win, but we do have to note that eClipse made a major mistake in this case. And this is a real mistake.
Yep,
this is no Nick getting himself killed. I don't want to harp on it too much, but that was the difference right there. Because what did it come down to?
A lot of individual mistakes and great play by different players.
At the end. It was a one-on-one, right? Yeah. It became that. If that Batchat was on the battlefield, if he'd done any amount of damage...
That should have been eClipse walking away with the win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm going to stick with on that one. eClipse should have had the win. They didn't manage to do it, though.
Now, the other thing is there's also a quote from soccer that comes to mind right now. Is stats look good on paper, but football's played on grass. Very similar to this. Stats look good on paper, but tanks are played on a battlefield. And, anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Yep. And when those things happen, that changes the entire course of this series. That's a win on Himmelsdorf that eClipse could have been sitting up 3-2. And then we play another time with eClipse on defense. And eClipse, which I'll have to check my papers here real quick, but eClipse on defense on Himmelsdorf should reasonably do well. 5 battles, 4 of them are wins on defense.
Yeah,
on
and
Himmelsdorf.
They have to win this. They need to keep themselves in this fight, because if they lose this, that's match point for top tier.
On Ruinberg.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we're going. Sorry to make you guys think of Ruinberg, but we're on Himmelsdorf for what could be the setup for eClipse to lose to top tier, or maybe a sick comeback. We shall see. Rockstar, tell me about this tank lineup.
Top tier 113. 250Bs, one of them played by Delth, so one of you that wasn't able to switch him out in time, you will get some fantasy points tonight.
Congratulations.
IS-7, Batchat, 4005 Stage 2, and an AMX 1390. Eclipse, a 113, 250Bs. An IS-4, an IS-7, a Batchat, and a 1390. No Nick, no skill, playing a tank where he hopefully won't be able to kill himself this time.
Let's hope. I doubt he's going to play so risky in an IS-7 to flip his tank. It seems... I don't know how you do it, but that would...
Yeah, I don't... But to be fair, I didn't see him doing that last game either, so...
Anything can happen.
Any given Sunday.
Yep. All right. We've got exits and Pampas from top tier moving up to the hill. So this looks very much like the strat we just saw from eClipse, just turned on its head a little bit. And we'll see if Pampas can make any solid connections early on. We've got Dark God Zim. I like this position, spotting ex-soldier. And, wow, Dark God Zim moves his mouse so strangely.
You have to remember also there's a lot of latency coming in here. He's playing from Ukraine.
Well, yeah, it's the way he jerks his mouse around. I've noticed that when you're observing someone's first person, there's like some tendencies you can see from the way they play. Latency has a factor, but generally it's rather smooth. I think Dark God Zim is one of those guys that just like whips his mouse back and forth. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He just moves so quickly, and I'll have to see if he keeps doing that. But I like studying players' replays just to kind of pick up on their tendencies, because you can see how some players cycle in and out of first person to third person, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And what's Pampas up to?
He's just lurking around on the hill.
Just goofing off, doing his thing. Oh, hey, look at that push. Delth, ex-soldier, Oghaka. That's going to be top tier, pressuring the east side. They've recognized the weakness there and have decided, well, we're just going to push that. And that's actually going to open it up, and I like the response. Look at how quickly eClipse is able to move their Batchat and their 1390 into the backfield. And that actually might work out for them later on if they're able to use this. Slow things down up in the north, and then bring everything around from the south and maybe pick off the FV or a Batchat or 1390 on reload.
Yeah, but Muriel is going to get in behind the hill, along with Pampas and Rude Awakening in that 1390, and now top tier set up to try to execute this cap. And look at the rotations out of eClipse. 1390 in the south, 113, and the Batchat all rotating through.
You know what, Rox? Would you care to take a listen in with top tier?
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Let's see what top tier is talking about.
get the VDBs down here and just YOLO up, or have the bat on the hill.
I'm gonna be in position where if they crest the hill, I'm just gonna fall back and have Pompous cover me.
I just need you guys to
in the
play
window,
smart
maybe.
and do damage when they come, okay?
Understand what you're doing, Conrad.
Are we stacking a corner, or are we trying to cover all angles?
Look, I think because of how light they are, if they come in here, they're going to be all in crossfires, okay? So let's just keep. That's going to be okay.
We only have 150 aiming that way.
Of course, yeah.
Don't peek. Don't peek.
I can't not peek, dude.
Exits can't leave. He'll take too much damage.
Yeah, yeah, he can.
No, he can't. Can't leave.
They might have something behind the
Pompous, you don't have to peek because.
Yeah, but we have no one lighting the fucking beeline though. That's the fucking issue. Exits needs to be lighting it or something.
They're gonna probably come up the 8 line now.
Exits, you need to just poking it every couple of seconds because I can't light it.
Yeah,
there's the 113. Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna push 8. They're gonna push 8.
They're gonna try to push 8. Yeah.
That's 7 fired. Just stay safe if you can.
Exits, can you go?
We have a minute. They're gonna have to
out
do
like
something.
this.
There's the 1390 on the hill. Nice. The bat is probably on the hill as well.
No, don't waste any of your shots on the 1390.
No, I'm not going to.
They might YOLO
Exits, why don't you get a cap? Why don't you get a cap?
I am.
Their S7 is in position, so he can.
50 beast. They're gonna pick Hako.
No, I'm fine.
Let us track.
They're trying to pick Hako.
Let us track.
The bat shot.
Retract them.
Let us is permit. I'm reloading.
Mirror run.
Track.
Don't focus on this guy. Come down here. Come down here.
Ignore the IS-4.
Track.
And a whole lot of damage onto Ledif as well as Drock. A little bit of a misplay there. 50B sitting in the perfect ambush, able to just punish Eclipse. Now, Eclipse are still ahead on HP, but they're down on guns, about to be down 2 guns from top tier, and this is going back and forth right now.
Yep, but I do love this aggression. Strong play from top tier. It's a great way to get control back into your favor. And looks like Hako's going to have to be 1v1ing Tigers, unable to deal with Drock, while everyone else tries to get rid of Nonik. And now Drock's even reloaded, and he's going to actually be able to help out against the IS-7, Hako. That works out great for Eclipse, so they're able to actually hold on in this fight. 4 tanks alive for now, but top tier should be able to make something happen.
Now T1 Diabetics reloading. He knows that Pompous just fired, and Merle Sheik is hot on his tail, trying to go for the rim. Meanwhile, over on the 8 line, trades going back and forth. T1 Diabetics just going to drive away, knowing that Pompous can't do anything to him. Merles is still reloading as well, but he knows that he's going to reload before T1 Diabetic. Now, Photo Finish is trying to come over here and help Tigers out with this 2v1. Tigers is 1 shot from going down.
And 1 shell should do it. Tigers, nice shot into Delth. And Delth doesn't, I don't know if you really, oh, there we go. Tigers is down. No shells into Photo Finish. And that IS-4, again. That pesky IS-4.
And this time it's Photo Finish, and Next Soldier's just going to kite Photo Finish away from this. It's just him and Drock, but Drock's a 1-shotter. And Drock's in a position where X-Soldier might actually have a shot on him before too long. And now Merles is going to come in here down the 5 line, and Drock is moments away from going down.
Oh, Pompous misses a shell into the turret of Photo.
But so did Photo. And now Merles is going to find Drock, take him down, and now it is all down to this IS-4, who's still full HP provided. He's moving up. He knows that Photo's down the range.
He's just magically dodging bullets left and right. I want to see the potential damage he's blocked this battle, because honestly, he's positioned himself very well. And, well, Pompous is loaded. So Pompous is looking for a kill. Oh, nice track shot. That's going to hold Photo. And that's actually going to mean that X-Soldier and Pompous just wants this. Oh, and it's a bounce!
Firing AP! He bounces off the gas of the IS-4. Doesn't get the ped.
That's classic. That's a classic. Typical IS-4. Bounces everything.
Even 183 millimeter guns.
Like, it's like a stone on water, dude. It doesn't matter. At enough of an angle and it's just going to right off. Oh, and it's a splash shell. I love it. This is beautiful. Pompous just can't catch a break. Oh, man.
But I don't think he's going to care too much at this point, because that's now top tier up 4-2 over Eclipse. And remember, the implications of top tier winning this game are huge. This would be top tier going ahead of Eclipse in to second place. Now, provided eClipse have played one less game than top tier, so they still have an extra chance to get points. But at least for today until Thursday, this could be top tier moving into second place.
Absolutely. So eClipse going down right here also can mean that a team like Dare, a team like Aquatic M60s, can overtake them much more easily, as top tier sits currently 1 point behind eClipse in the standings. So if they win today, they go to second place.
Yep, and now we have Ruinberg as our last map, which is a map that's typically 1-1.
Which would spell to me that this should be over. eClipse is going to have to win twice in a row and then go to tiebreaker to take this series.
Yep.
That's where we're at, guys. We are watching a team top tier who, at the beginning of this season, managed to what was it? Win, loss, overtime loss, a loss, then like back and forth, wins and losses all over the place.
Yeah. Now look at this as far as raw numbers go. EClipse are 4 for 4 on defense. Now, top tier do have a quote-unquote 100% win rate. However, that's only over one game, so you can't read necessarily a whole lot into that.
Well,
it's going to leave them, this is going to be a vital win for eClipse. They have to hold this defense. They have to hold on, and then they have to find a way to attack against top tier on Ruinberg. And the only Ruinberg defense that top tier have this season was unsuccessful. So this isn't out of the question for eClipse.
All right, well, with that one, guys, we're going to get ready to go to the final map of this series. Match point for top tier. Let's get straight to it.
Ruinberg, a mixed-type map. The defending team starts the battle on the green, and the attacking team starts at the centre square of the town. Bases are located quite far from each other. Both bases are better controlled from the village when playing a heavy setup. It's better to attack the first base through the top direction with the help of several well-armoured heavy tanks. For the attack on the second base, it's better to use a more mobile setup and either play through the centre or split forces. In general, the map is not easy to play on. Teams often use blind shots and risky shifting of the forces from one flank to another.
All right, Rockstar, talk to me about these rosters.
Top tier, 2 113s, an IS-7, 3 batch heads, and an RU-251, Eclipse, 250Bs, an 215B, an IS-4, a batch hat, an STRV 103B, and a WZ 132.
And I've talked about the WZ 132 before. It's really, really odd choice for a tank sometimes. And, well, I don't tend to agree with it, but, from time to time, we tend to see a tank that we don't necessarily think is the safest choice. But
yeah, no, we've talked about this before, but let's go ahead and go over it again.
It's got a 100mm cannon, also the choice of an 85, but a 100mm cannon is what Dark God Zim's gone for. The gun performs well enough and is similar in feel to a T-54. Of course, it's based off of that. But Dark God Zim spotted.
And these bat jets aren't stopping. Now, we'll have to see if Eclipse are in position to punish this, because they need to make sure they pump out a lot of damage right now. Dark God Zim running for his life. No one's able to find the kill shot yet.
I got to give him credit, though. He hasn't taken the fire in the open.
And Burrows gets tracked. Another track shot onto Pompous, and finally some damage comes down. But Pompous is going to be caught out in that open. He's tracked. He's going to go down. 640, and he does go down. Burrows gets tracked as well, and Burrows goes down, and that's 2 bat shots down for top tier.
Oh, and that run did not work out. Eclipse is able to hold on just a little bit, but the cat pressure is there. And the response is on the way. The WZ-132, Dark God Zim, and No-Nick. Both of those tanks. No, No-Nick's not going to go for the backfield.
Photo Finish is going to play his corner once again in that IS-4. Photo Finish, one of the best heavy tank players in the league. He's just going to push in here and start side-scraping the corner. He's going to see Rude, puts a shot into him, actually tracks him and spins him out on cap. Someone should be able to find the kill shot, but this shot hits the dirt.
In a way, you could consider that a distraction. If someone goes for Rude, they're not going for a tank on cap. And that WZ-132, remember Dark God Zim? Well, guess what? He's in the backfield. He's able to reset cap. One shell goes out. He's on reload for the next. And he's got to play it safe. He doesn't have to get too aggressive. Not yet. And that's actually, and he's going to be able to bait Oghako into
2-1 Diabetics, second from going down. Photo gets another reset onto cap there. No Nick, no skill right behind them, ready to help out if they push, but he can't peek because he's too soft. And now Exits and Rude Awakening are both free to poke onto the side of Photo here, and this isn't over for Eclipse despite them being in a pretty good position.
They might just be able to hold on, but it is dangerous for them. Look at the hit points. Quickly, Eclipse has lost a few thousand, where they're not in a disadvantage yet. Nice shots onto Delth. Good focus fire. Oh, but look at that. Dark God Zim goes down, and now Ledif is next. if they're not careful, if this damage isn't dealt appropriately or spread appropriately, top tier can still hold on in the match.
Photo
too.
does take down X-Soldier, but Hako trades it out and takes down Ledith in that 50B. Now, Eclipse are up by about 2,000 HP. They have 2 extra guns alive. Hako doing what he can, trading with Photo Finish. So far, Hako's won the 1v1s versus Photo tonight, but you have to imagine this is going to be Eclipse pulling this one off.
And that's it. That's it. Perfect timing by Drock to come in and support. And the Focus Fire was there. Notice that they left the I-7 alive. And, well, Eclipse manages to hold on Ruinberg, keeping themselves in this match and extending it yet again one more round. All right, guys. This one's going to be really close. And that's Eclipse. Eclipse 3-4. Match point still. So as this switches sides, Eclipse now has to successfully attack on Ruinberg. And we all know how tricky that is. Actually, do you actually have the map stats handy?
I do.
Oh, for totals.
For the league?
Yeah, league map stats. I wanted to take a look at...
So Ruinberg is actually dropped down to second as far as defensive win rate. Murrow is better.
Yeah.
Now, overall win rates on the season, Ruinberg comes in at a... I actually don't have the win rate for the season, but on attack, it is 43% on attack. And obviously, because you have that means 56% on offense.
So...
Or on defense.
On defense, yeah.
We follow.
I follow. So that just kind of reiterates the whole, this is a defensive-sided map. And the thing is, top tier showed us that they are playing rather well. And they're able to kind of roll with the punches. They're able to improvise very, very well. And Eclipse, well, it seems like they're warming up a little bit to top tier. They're starting to get wise, as it were.
Now, if they can pull off this attacking win on Ruinberg, remember, the tiebreaker tonight is Ghost Town.
And I love that little lens flare right there. That's Jesus Christ Superstar, I believe, our observer. Shout out to him.
And look at the damage here coming out of X-Soldier in that 113. Despite being the cap pressure, still put off 3k damage. 55 fantasy points. Drock, who's just recently stepped back into this Eclipse lineup. 108 fantasy points. A lot of defense points there from that 50B. And 3 kills as well. Photo Finish. Doing 115 fantasy points, getting a majority of the resets, really working that corner. And something else I want to point out is Photo Finish had only 2 block shots. I thought that would have been more playing that corner, but managed to stay alive, worked that corner near perfection for his team, and kept those resets coming in and bought everyone else time to get around, get in position to clean up that rest of the tanks from top tier.
Yeah, and just a note here for a real quick second. It looks like Ute broke something again, so hashtag Ute's fault on Twitter. At Ute, at WGLNA, hashtag Ute's fault. He breaks everything, so we'll get that fixed up right quick, and you'll see that number 3 that Eclipse does deserve as we go into what could be the final battle for Eclipse, the win that top tier has been hoping for on Ruinberg.
Lineups coming in as follows. Top tier 2-113s, a 50B, a 215B, a Batchat. Pompous bringing that E4 once again, and an AMX 1390. Eclipse, on the other hand, 2 IS-7s, 2 Mouse. Moisten, I believe, is the correct terminology.
I was told that recently. Part of me wants to question it, because I'm pretty sure someone German's going to be like, actually, in this context, you shouldn't use Mousen. You should actually be using... Sorry.
I wish I had paid attention in German in high school, but
I don't think they would have taught you how to pluralize mouse.
But if I paid attention to how to pluralize something, I'm sure I could have figured it out. 2 Batchats and an RU-251. E4, and actually all the way over on the 0 line right now as Rude Awakening makes the opening scout run.
And I like this. We got IS-7 battle buddies, Drock and Tigers, headed to the middle of the map. They'll be trying to put cap pressure on. Oh no, Photo, he's taking so much damage. He's trying to bounce a lot of shells, but I don't know, Rox. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's necessarily the safest thing to be doing in a mouse. I understand the purpose of the distraction, but it always seems to be a huge tell, because also what you can do is what top tier is going to do.
Is the best direction not forward?
It is forward. It is also away from the mouse. Mouse. Say it again.
Moisten.
Moisten. It sounds like the word moist. I hate that. It's a horrible word. Anyway, I'll get you all off that one real quick. Anyway, so cap pressure goes, and we're going to see a push-up from Eclipse when their IS-7's in position, but look at the shift right now from top tier. Look at how they just kind of ignored the mouse and said, you know what, there are other tanks on this battlefield. probably more deserving of our focus
And
fire.
Tigers and Drock taking a lot of fire there from those 50Bs. They're trying so hard to take X-Soldier down in the south, but he's playing that position near perfectly.
Oh, a bounce that could have killed Tigers from X-Soldier. That's going to hurt in just a second because those Moisen are catching up.
Pompous in the C4 looking for a shot on to Dark God Zim. Fires it off, doesn't get the connection.
And, well, a lot of missed damage from top tier is going to cost them now because the Mouse have just now arrived at the battlefield. And with that, I think that might spell a comeback for Eclipse. At the same time, Dark God Zim is going to finally go down. So some of those kills finally coming into play. And Pompous is actually caught out against T1 Diabetic.
The Mouse are going to push in there, and at the same time, this is all going on. No Nick, no skill's going to go clean out this 1-1-3, but Eclipse are not looking good, and ammo rack damage onto Drock. Now, Nodic should be able to pick this up against X-Soldier, but the damage, I think, is too great for Eclipse to overcome. Mice taking too much damage and going down. Drock still damaged, has his ammo rack damage. He's down to a one-shot. Now, Nodic no skill did get in there, took down X-Soldier rather cleanly, but down 3,000 HP, down an extra gun, now 2 extra guns. And I think this is top tier walking away with a 5-3 victory.
They're about
over
to do
Eclipse.
it.
This is top tier taking that second place spot away from Eclipse. Now remember, Eclipse still have one more extra game to play that top tier have not.
This is true. That's a valid point to make. Thank you for bringing that one up because right now we're going to see a lot of, I guess you could say, syncopated standings where some players are going to be off, like a little behind or a little ahead of other players in the league. Someone's going to actually be ending their season before the final match day.
Yeah, but you have to look at this. Top tier have Apex up next and then Rival, where Eclipse have Dare, Valence, and 07. Now, Valence and 07, you have to think are definitely wins for Eclipse.
But let's not go too far yet because we're still in this. Eclipse is still here. And so we're going to have to give them a moment to see if they're able to do anything.
Lettuce taking some damage as he drives away.
What are they? Oh, yeah.
They're just playing slow. They have to try to find a pick here to get back into this.
Yeah.
Akako's still full HP in that 1-1-3. Both the Batchats, well, the only Batchat left alive, 4 top tier, relatively healthy. And Rude Awakening still has, 2 shots of HP to deal with.
Look at Muriel's about to move in with Rude Awakening. Nice timing. Almost the two of them are going to hit the road at the same time. And that's it. Ledip's going to turn, try and find a shot into Muriel. Nonix not quite on target, and Ledip's going to go down. Nonix the only tank alive. And there he goes. Top tier, able to upset Eclipse in a 5-3 victory. This is something we did not expect, but of any day to do it, this is the day. Right after the roster change, right when things have been shaken up, top tier is starting to solidify their own play style, their own strategies, and take on the second place team in North America.
They had a really shaky start to the season. They had a really bad run of form after the first couple of weeks. They lost 3 in a row at one point. Then they finally turned things around. This is now their 4th win in a row.
Yeah.
Now, they have Apex up next, so that's going to be the real tale of how this team's doing. But they just took on Eclipse, who lost to Apex 4-3.
They're just
or 4-5.
they're just climbing the ranks, man. They're just getting started. If they could take that to Apex after taking it to Eclipse like this, I mean, it seems doable. I mean, okay, talk to Eclipse, they're probably going to tell you that's probably not going to happen. Talk to anyone else, they might doubt you as well.
You also have to remember when you look at Eclipse, they lost Vetro, Lettuce just stepping into the starting lineup, and Exo's also been a consistent starter, so they've had to have players come off the bench of Drock and take their place, and so you have to wonder if those 2 roster changes for Eclipse may have hurt them a little bit today.
It's quite possible. That's tricky to look out for. We'll have to see what happens in the next match day, but I think my thoughts for top tier here are solid play. I have to appreciate their style. It appears as though top tier was on form today. Everything about their identity was right out there in the open. They flexed around. They were able to improvise. Individual players were able to handle themselves appropriately. And Pompous was Pompous,
We
right?
saw some great individual play today between these teams, especially Akako and Photo Finish had their moments where they stepped out and shine. Muriel had some great moments. T1 Diabetic put up almost 5,000 damage in the 4,005. So just overall, just a lot of different little moments for these players that really just stood out, and they did their part and won games or lost games for their team today.
Absolutely. So, guys, just that was solid play. Now, looking forward for these teams, I think top tier can take this and say a lot about what they're ready to do. Because they came into the season brand new. Rude Awakening starts a team, says, we're going to do this. I don't like the status quo. I'm going to shake things up. And so he gets his guys together. They have a rough start. It gets a lot better, though, now. So now that they are where they are, does this say that top tier is the kind of team that could take over the second-place position in the league?
Like I was alluding to with the schedule, if they can get a result versus Apex, then it's basically theirs. But if they drop points to Apex, I think the schedule favors eClipse to close out and hold on to that second-place seed. Because remember, second place gets the guaranteed bye to the offline regional finals. Now, looking at the fantasy points, Photo finished almost 500 fantasy points today. Even the top fantasy scorer in the league, Muriel, down there at 406, put up 80 more than him. So Photo finished coming in big. 2 on Diabetic, another player that's been skipped over for fantasy a lot. 334. No Nick, no skill, also putting up over 300.
Oh, wow.
X-Soldier, 405.
What?
Let 410. Tigers, 410. Fantasy points galore from this match. Only Delph, who played a couple games, we split games with Fixer Reloaded, are the reasons why they're down there.
Oh.
But overall, eClipse just put up such great numbers. Both teams put up good numbers, and eClipse